Like, people are saying that this shouldn't be a Trump rally, that this should be a non-political event. What do you make of all that?
Oh, I wish they would just shut up and just, what's that line from Stripes? Lighten up, Francis. He's the president.
Patriot.
So let's check in on the latest stupid garbage that leftists are upset about in Washington, D.C. Because first it was the reflecting pool, then it was the UFC fight. Now, of course, they're throwing big fits over the Great American State Fair that Trump is throwing on the National Mall. And the basic premise of their entire argument is, how dare Trump try to do anything nice for the country? I mean, that's really what this is all about, right? You're talking about an event here that really should be the least controversial of them of all. Like, for example, although I was a big fan of the UFC event, I can understand why maybe that might cause some agitation with certain crowds. Same thing with changing the color of the reflecting pool. But you think about the idea of basically just doing an outdoor festival on the National Mall to celebrate the 250th and the 4th of July. That's something incredibly benign. It's normal. I wouldn't even argue it's that Trumpian. It's just something that you do, right? It's very standard. But of course, what you're rapidly finding out is all of these miserable libtards are just exactly that, like miserable, bitter, seething libtards. You can imagine, instead of enjoying themselves, they're going to be spending the whole 4th of July on their phone, going on Facebook. Did Trump fail at something? Oh, what's going on? And right now, what they're effectively making fun of is the fact that conservatives have jobs, right? Because you have these news reporters who are showing up, for example, I'm not even making this up, right? At 8 a.m. on a Monday in Washington, D.C. at the state fair and saying, look, guys, nobody's here. Ha, 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 ha. To which I say, okay, first of all, it's not the 4th of July yet. Washington, D.C. is a 92% Democrat city. You're explicitly telling your people to boycott, so where's the big surprise here? And by the way, again, it's a work day. It's a Monday. D.C. has a heat wave this week. It's like 100 degrees tomorrow, and you're saying, ha, look at this, guys. This little state fair they set up on a weekday is really empty. Do you do that, by the way, for, let's say, any other attraction in D.C.? Do you see news reporters showing up at the Smithsonian at 9 a.m. on a Monday and saying, look, the museum's kind of dead right now. Oh, the tourist attraction doesn't have a lot of people right now. Yeah, gee, you don't say, right? You understand how stupid this whole thing is? And then let me make a bold prediction. I know this is so crazy, but watch. On the 4th of July and that weekend coming up, there's probably actually going to be a lot of people there. It's going to be decently crowded at least. And MSNBC is just not going to talk about it, right? CNN's not going to be there because you know how this stuff goes. So, we've been talking a bit about this chronicle over the reflecting pool, UFC, and all this stuff. But let's actually counter and follow up with this latest state fair debacle, because equally, the constant critiquing and seething about this is actually really stupid, and we'll break down why. But anyways, let's get into this. First though, do us a favor. If you enjoy our content, make sure you hit that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. That is the best way to support our work, and it also ensures that you can stay up to date with all of the latest news and coverage. And with that in mind, you might have heard, but basically one of the 250 events, this is not the main event or anything like that, right? But something nice that Trump is trying to do for the people of this country is, of course, this idea of the Great American State Fair, which is basically a big sort of old-fashioned style carnival, as you can see, that's taking place on the National Mall. And quite notably about it is, for example, the fact that basically he invited all 50 states to come and set up a booth and basically display the history or the heritage or something about the state at this kind of big outdoor festival around the 4th of July. Which objectively to me, first of all, is actually kind of cool. I think that's actually a pretty unique and nice way to celebrate our country. Hey, all 50 states come together and let's explain, to basically almost an outdoor museum, right? Let's explain what makes our country unique. But again, still, in contrast to UFC or something else, this is not even a very Trumpian thing, I would argue, right? This is sort of a normal thing that if you're the president during 250, you probably do large events, festivals, things on the National Mall. I mean, they're not exactly unprecedented. You would think to yourself hearing this, first of all, oh, that's pretty cool. What's the big deal? And then secondly, yeah, like literally, what is the big deal about this? Well, of course, a lot of the drama has started ever since, as you could expect, a few states of this country, everyone was invited equally, right? Red states and blue states. A few states decided not to participate, not to show up with their own exhibit. And then for whatever reason, libtards have an issue with this, right? Oh, how dare you do that? How dare you like display America for the American Independence Day, you know, blah, blah, blah. But of course, their big criticism has been thus far, especially on Monday when the thing first opened, that look, guys, on Monday morning in Washington, D.C., there weren't a lot of people there, and they're trying to show pictures like this demonstrating, oh, look, guys, it's kind of empty. By the way, look at this guy right here, complete patriot. Okay, you know that guy's a patriot. But, you know, this is what they're trying to do. And as one example, you had a lot of leftists resharing this Fox News clip showing, oh, look how empty it is, completely ignoring the fact, for example, here, this footage came on Monday at 8:24 a.m. Eastern Time. The Great American Fair opens at 10 a.m. So just to give you an example, this is the stuff they're trying to do. Oh, look, the fair is empty before the fair actually opened. It's like, okay, seriously, right? But check it out.
So yes, it's typically hot in the summer, but it's not this hot in the summer. That's it from here for me. But a guy who knows all about places that are hot, Lawrence, LJ, you're over in Texas, I think, where it's always hot out there.
I was born in heat, and that's Texas.
Yeah, you
All
were.
right, Adam, thank you so much. All right, so we're right in front of the Texas tent. This is where everything big happens. All right, if you look over there, there's a rodeo. You're going to get cattle. You're going to get horses, and that's all from Texas. But I want y'all to meet a special friend. You know her well. Let's go. This is the Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins.
Goodness, welcome
my friend
to
from a long
Texas.
time. It's good to be back home.
And exactly as you would expect, the Great American Fact Check, the big, beautiful fact check had to be delivered. But again, you have to find the liberal fascination over this and obsession with this to be just completely perplexing. Although not, because we understand, like, they're just miserable, depressed people. They seethe about everything. They hate the country, you know, no big surprise. But again, please explain to me in detail what about this event is particularly all that controversial. You know, to be completely honest, it would have a lot more pride flags and BLM flags and things like that, which maybe is the issue. But even this type of thing is something I could see Biden doing if he were the president right now, right? Again, it's like the least controversial, most normal thing that Trump is doing for 250. Hey, let's have this like little cute kind of like Americana celebration on the National Mall. What is the big deal? But as you could expect, this goes on. For example, take a listen to how MSNBC decided to dedicate serious amounts of airtime to the National Mall this weekend.
There are thousands of people here, and I'll tell you what, that's with rain, with everything else going on, the fact that it is heightened security just because of the world right now, it's really an awesome crowd, and it's people that want to be here.
Don't believe your eyes. Don't believe your ears. I put on my glasses to get a closer look. The live shot literally behind all those people saying all those things tells a totally different story from the things coming out of their mouths. Donald Trump's long-awaited Freedom 250 Great American State Fair went off with a whimper this weekend, with what looked like tens, dozens of people showing up for the event, which was plagued with problems, power outages, a shutdown Ferris wheel, extreme weather. Needless to say, the less than stellar reviews of the fair and the viral posts about his itty-bitty little crowds have gotten under Donald Trump's skin in a big way.
So yeah, just a typical seething. I've seen libtards posting stuff like this right here, right? It's like the side-by-side. Trump's Great American State Fair versus Obama's July 4th celebration in 2011. Haha, look, Obama's so much better because he drew a crowd in Washington, D.C. But here's the thing, okay? I guess we have to explain this to people. Do you understand actually even this picture right here, which I literally ripped from like Democrat pages, right? Do you understand that this is even fundamentally dishonest? Well, I mean, that's basically everything they do. But, okay, so what you mean to tell me is that on July 4th, on the day of the holiday, right, more people show up than 9 a.m. on a Monday? Because I know this is a shocker to people, right? But again, it's Washington, D.C. The native residents are almost all Democrats. You guys are boycotting it. That's well established. Most right-wingers, most conservatives who are going to go to Washington, D.C. are probably showing up much closer to the weekend. You know why? I know, hot take, this is a huge shocker for people, but they have something called jobs. That's number one. Number two, again, we'll point out, heat wave in Washington, D.C., 100 degrees outside. It is what it is. People probably don't want to stay out there for too long, okay? Understood. And then even number three here, you know, they're now trying to act like this was Trump's big thing. To say that, oh, well, this was the most important celebration he had for 250, and look how nobody showed up. What a flop. I'll just be completely honest. As a pretty active political person and a Trump supporter, I knew he was going to do the state fair thing because I heard about it back during the inauguration last year. But truthfully, it was not heavily marketed. I didn't even have an idea it was happening basically until now in the form that it is. But, you know, maybe that's actually the entire point, guys, which is that it's sort of just a cool thing he's doing that you can go see in Washington, D.C. if you're there right now. It's not really the main attraction. I mean, for example, we saw how big of a hit the UFC event was, right? That was one of the big things. That was one of the more talked about things. You guys were basically unable to criticize that because it went off so well and it was so awesome. So here you are again, just like 9 a.m. on a Monday when it's hot outside and people, you know, our voters actually work and things like that. Oh, look, there's not that many people there. And it just goes on with literally everything. For example, another sort of 250 gift I guess Trump gave to the White House is he put up this imperial eagle, which, if you know, is a pretty common symbol of our country, right? It sits on a lot of flagpoles, it's on the quarter, it's on a lot of our official insignias, things like that. But of course, because it's an eagle, we now have the latest libtard hoax, which is they're saying he put up a Nazi eagle in front of the White House. Because again, apparently the Nazis invented the imperial eagle, right? That's not a symbol that dates all the way back to Rome, and it's extensively used in our country, and it long predates the Nazis. The Nazis don't own it. Here, for example, we have one of the dumbest people in all of the internet, Ed Krasenstein, trying to say, oh, Republicans want you to stop calling him Hitler, but look at this golden eagle. And he literally put up a Nazi eagle. So apparently these two things are the same, right? Because this eagle is gold and this eagle is gold, therefore they're the same eagle. Never mind the fact that, for example, I believe our eagle is a bald eagle. This is probably some type of European eagle, right? The heads aren't even facing the same way. There's no swastika. Again, have you never seen a quarter? Have you never like held a coin in your entire life in this country? Have you never looked at like basically a lot of flags of different agencies or the executive branch or anything? You don't know where the eagle comes from and that it's not invented by the Nazis, right? But you know, why are we even arguing this in good faith? Like, these people are just insufferable, miserable freaks, and you can 100% guarantee they're going to spend the entire 4th of July, instead of enjoying themselves, that's exactly what they're going to be doing. They're going on Blue Sky and complaining about everything. Oh, this is Nazis. I can't believe fascists took over America. They're not normal people. They're certainly not happy people, and all I can basically say is don't be like them, okay? You know, go enjoy the state fair, go enjoy the country. You don't have to be the one bitterly seething about everything and trying to connect all the dots. And by the way, to libtards, I'd point out, you know, at what point do you people ever, I know you don't, but do you people ever hypothetically sort of introspect and self-reflect and understand how ridiculous you look to most other normal people, right? You know, it's one thing, for example, to disagree with the White House ballroom or something, but how fanatically obsessed you are with something that doesn't actually affect anyone else's life. And then the whole thing with the reflecting pool, and now, you know, basically, oh, look at this eagle he put up. Can you believe it, guys? It's a Nazi or something. You know, do you guys never kind of stop and think, oh, maybe in other people's shoes, right? Actually have empathy for others and think in their position, right? How would they perceive you? You guys never stop and think to yourself, oh, we're just a complete freak show. Like, we're not normal and we're deeply miserable. Oh, why are we so miserable and upset and mad all the time, right? Well, of course they don't, because, you know, they're libtards. They lack a lot of capacity for any self-awareness, right? But that's how it goes. But anyways, there you have it, guys. This is going to continue all week. You know that for a fact. But as I've said many times, all you have to take notes of is the contrast. Look at how the patriots are celebrating and enjoying our country in very American ways objectively. And then look at the communists who are bitterly seething and just being upset about it, and in many cases literally trying to tear it down, right? Vandalize our national monuments. They have to heighten security, for example, at the American Fair because likely after watching what happened with the reflecting pool, you know, some leftist is going to try to bomb it or, you know, commit violence at it and then say, oh, look, it was such a failure because our side, the right wing failed because our people went and committed violence against the right wing. Ha ha ha. You're so owned, right? Left-wing logic, actual left-wing logic, by the way. You know, we know that's what they love to do. They love to, you know, assassinate people, vandalize things, all that. But, you know, they're actually the good guys, right? They're the totally normal, well-adjusted people against these crazy fascists. Okay, sure, whatever you say. But anyways, that said, guys, let me know your thoughts. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. And until next time, God bless and peace.